Welcome to Train Signal. This is the course scenario lesson in the Forefront Threat Management Gateway 2010 training course. In this lesson, you'll learn all there is to know about Globomantics, including their current protection challenges and their cost structure. You'll learn about some of their immediate needs as it relates to network protection, and we'll review the Globomantics office locations and the map, as well as get a look at why we're going to be creating a Threat Management Gateway 2010 project plan. So what is Globomantics? It's a rapidly growing distributor of pharmaceuticals. They sell direct to consumers via the internet and a doctor's prescription, of course. And they also sell to doctor's offices via a mobile sales force, hence why they need some remote access capabilities into their environment. They also sell to pharmacies via mobile sales force. So, you can see that there's a lot of mobility going on. From a critical protection needs standpoint, Globomantics has a number of things they would like to achieve. First of all, they'd like to reduce the likelihood of malware infestation. Malware is the bane of many companies' existences and can create massive headaches if left unchecked. They also want to ensure that the internet-facing services they make available are both accessible but protected. And security is always a balance between accessibility and protection. They also want to prevent these folks, ne'er-do-wells, from accessing services for which they have no authorization. In other words, if you don't have access to it, you don't get it. And that can be either external people accessing internal resources or internal people attempting to access external resources that they should not be accessing. Here are some protection challenges that are currently happening at Globomantics. From a malware perspective, the Globomantics IT staff regularly has to combat malware infestations. In order to meet business objectives, a number of Globomantics users have administrative rights to their desktops. So, malware is a way of life, unfortunately. Malware infestations lead to lost productivity and privacy issues. And lost productivity hits the bottom line directly, and privacy issues hits the PR line directly. So from a cost and PR perspective, making sure that malware does not enter the environment, doing everything possible to prevent that, is in Globomantics' best interest and is a high priority. Next up, we have remote access. You already learned that Globomantics has a highly mobile sales force, and these traveling sales professionals have a need to access corporate services. And we're going to learn about a couple of different ways that they'll be able to access corporate services, including using a secure intranet that we're going to publish to them, as well as VPN, or virtual private network. And then there's just your typical firewall. The current firewalls that are in place at Globomantics have hit the end of their useful life and need to be replaced. Globomantics has decided to replace them with Threat Management Gateway 2010. As always, Globomantics is concerned about the ever-rising cost of technology. New initiatives must show a quick ROI, and where possible, must avoid cost increases. From a business impact perspective, new technologies must be carefully evaluated, and the CIO believes that Threat Management Gateway will show good ROI and provide a lower total cost of ownership than other solutions. So, why is this the case? Well, first of all, Threat Management Gateway includes most services in the base product. For a couple of things, there are additive licenses we'll talk about later in this course. The CIO at Globomantics likes the fact that everything is included, most things are included in the base product, and that there's not going to be it's not going to be necessary to constantly go out and add features. Next up, he believes that some of the features that are available in Threat Management Gateway will help to reduce ongoing costs, operational costs in the organization. For example, there will be no more having to pay for hardware maintenance for the firewalls that are now end of life. Obviously, they still have to buy the software, Threat Management Gateway, and maintain it, as well as the servers, but he believes that'll be less expensive than the firewalls themselves. Next up, he believes that some of the Threat Management Gateway features themselves will help lower costs. For example, malware protection will help lower costs for IT staff having to constantly combat malware. Now, that has both direct and indirect cost recovery opportunity. First of all, if you can keep IT staff away from having to go out and do things like that all the time, there's an obvious benefit to the organization in that the IT staff are freed up to do other, more value-add business ventures. Next up, it keeps the PR office from having to worry about constantly combating the PR issue of potential data loss as a result of spyware. So there's a lot of different ways by which the CIO believes that there'll be a good return on investment for Threat Management Gateway. So what are the immediate needs? Well, the quick growth of the company has had a number of results. Lots of users tote laptops around and need access to services wherever they go, including the aforementioned Salesforce. And because of this, as new users are added to the headquarters network, Globomantics wants to make sure that they're immediately protected from web-based threats. New people are being hired all the time, and IT has trouble keeping up with everything because, like most IT organizations, there's more to do than there are staff. Further, new services are regularly being made available on the intranet. Globomantics is a forward-thinking company. They want to be in the front runners when it comes to using technology in the business. So new services are always being made available, and they have to be protected. There are a number of related Threat Management Gateway 2010 technologies that can meet all of the needs that we just described, including web access protection, URL filtering, the network inspection system, server publishing, and VPN. And you're going to learn about all of these features in this course. I mentioned before that there are a number of Globomantics office locations. We're going to be focusing on the Columbia, Missouri headquarters for Globomantics. You may hear a little bit of talk about some of the regional offices, but there will not be a focus of this particular course. You saw this map in the lab setup lesson, and I've included it here just so you can get a look at the Globomantics structure. It's important to understand that Globomantics is moving forward with a project plan. They're executing on a project plan for Threat Management Gateway 2010. The Globomantics Chief Information Officer has appointed you and I to evaluate all features that TMG 2010 has to offer, to develop a Threat Management Gateway implementation plan, and then deploy Threat Management Gateway and configure all primary features, and ensure that the TMG infrastructure is monitored on a regular basis. The implementation team consists of me, a consultant helping you evaluate and implement Threat Management Gateway 2010, and you, a security specialist that works for Globomantics. You've now learned everything there is to know about Globomantics, including their current protection challenges, some of their cost structure issues, and their immediate protection needs. We then reviewed the Globomantics office locations, and you learned about what we're going to create as a part of the Threat Management Gateway 2010 project plan. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.